Les pronoms objets. Partie A, direct object pronouns. A direct object receives the action of the verb. For example, in the French sentence, Janine lit la lettre, the action of this sentence is the verb lit. The object receiving the action is la lettre. So la lettre is a direct object, the thing that's receiving the action of being read. A direct object pronoun replaces that direct object. So when we don't want to actually say the noun in a sentence but use a pronoun to replace it to avoid repetition, we'll use pronouns. Those pronouns that replace the thing that receives the action is a direct object pronoun. So compare these sentences. Marie regarde un film, where un film is the direct object receiving the action of being watched. If we didn't want to use un film in a sentence and instead we wanted to say Marie is watching it, that sentence would look like this. Marie le regarde. Here's another one to look at. Les élèves écrivent la carte postale. La carte postale is the direct object receiving the action of being written. If we wanted to use a pronoun instead of la carte postale, we would say ils l'écrivent, meaning they are writing it. Here's a third sentence. Le prof regarde Sylvie et moi. The teacher looks at Sylvie and me. Sylvie and me are the direct objects. We are receiving the action of being looked at. If we were going to use a pronoun to replace Sylvie et moi, we would use the pronoun nous. Il nous regarde. He's looking at us. So if you look at those sentences, you can see that in French, the direct object pronoun comes immediately before the verb. That's different than where direct object pronouns go in English sentences, and different than where direct objects go when they're in the noun form. So in this sentence, je ne la lis pas, you can see I am not reading it. The word la, meaning it, goes in front of the verb lis, not in the same place as where it would be in an English sentence. If you have a negative sentence that includes a direct object pronoun, the ne and pas surrounds the pronoun and the verb. Up until now, I've always said that ne and pas are like parentheses around only the verb. There's a little bit more to it. If you have a direct object pronoun, ne and pas will surround both the pronoun and the verb. For example, est-ce que tu achètes le cadeau? Are you buying the present? If you wanted to answer that using a pronoun instead of the word cadeau, you could say, non, je ne l'achète pas, where ne and pas are surrounding both the object pronoun l'apostrophe and the verb achète. Sometimes we have sentences that have both a verb and an infinitive, like when we say, j'aime lire, I like to read, or je vais lire, I'm going to read. When you have an object pronoun in a sentence with both a verb and an infinitive, the pronoun, the direct object pronoun, is going to come before the infinitive. Take a look at this example. La fille va acheter le cadeau. She's going to buy the present. The present is the direct object. If we were going to use a pronoun to replace it, to say she's going to buy it, the word it would be le, and it would go in front of the infinitive, acheter. So our new sentence would look like this. Elle va l'acheter. Since acheter starts with a vowel, we had to drop the e in le and replace it with l'apostrophe. But you can see that the direct object pronoun goes in front of the infinitive when we have two verbs in a sentence. Third person direct object pronouns. So we have le to mean it and him, la to mean it or her, or les to mean them. Yes, you've seen le, la, and les before to mean the, but that's when they were preceding a noun. Now, if you see le, la, or les in front of a verb, they're actually direct object pronouns, and they can mean it, him, her, or them, depending on what they are replacing. We also have first and second person pronouns. So first person would be me, second person you, or also first person would include us. Those are also pronouns. They can also be receiving the action of the sentence. And in that case, when you use them, the words for me, for you, and us as direct objects have to go in front of the verb. They follow the same pattern as the third person direct object pronouns. The way of saying me in French is me. I know that's kind of confusing because it's spelled the same way. Me in English, me in French. To say you is either te when speaking about one person, or vous when talking about more than one person, or somebody in authority. And then to say us, it would be nous. Nous can be a subject pronoun or the verb at the beginning of a sentence, but nous can mean us when it's receiving the action of a sentence. Really, the best way to understand this is to see it in sentences. But these pronouns, the words for me, you, and us, when they're receiving the action of a verb, must go before the conjugated verb. You've probably seen this in the example of the French sentence, I love you, je t'aime, where the T apostrophe in je t'aime means you. You're literally saying I, you, love if you put it in the exact word order. However, in French, because object pronouns have to go in front of the verb, the French sentence I love you is je t'aime. Here's another example. To say I'm talking to you, because you is receiving the action, we would say te as the word for you in front of the verb parle. Je te parle. I'm speaking or I'm talking to you. A little bit different word order than what we're used to in Anglais. So I have a couple of sentences that I want you to try. I want you to figure out which word is the object and then rewrite it, replacing that object with the appropriate pronoun. The best way to do this is to first figure out which word is the object. So in the sentence, on achète une robe, the thing receiving the action in this sentence is une robe. So when we replace une robe, we're going to replace it with a direct object pronoun. We'd replace it with la, because it's feminine, and that la would go in front of the verb achète. However, when you write it, you'll have to drop the a in la because achète starts with the vowel. So you try. On your own paper, you write Anne is buying it instead of Anne is buying a dress. Okay, les élèves, here are several more sentences for you to try on your own paper, and we'll go over them in class. It's really important that you try these because object pronouns are so different than Anglais that the only way to really get an understanding of it is to keep practicing it. So you try these on your paper and we'll go over them in class.